Hi and welcome to another learning session today on Git and GitHub, which is part of the web design basic series that we are doing. If you haven't checked out the previous videos on HTML and CSS, you can be sure to check them out, as this is part of what we are doing so far. Suppose this is your first time checking out our videos, you can always subscribe to help us grow our channel. So let's dive into version control by first looking at Git, then we compare it with GitHub. By now you should have heard people talk about Git, and you're wondering, what is this all about Git? This is just a software and a tool that is freely available on the internet as an open source distributed version control system. You can use Git to keep track of the changes that you make in code. If you're working on the same project as multiple developers, you can also be able to see who made changes to a particular part of the code base. With that, you're able to collaborate simultaneously. Someone could be in a different country, but you're working on the same code base in a different country. So this is one of the advantages that come with using GitHub, and it's very essential for you to learn this tool as a developer or as someone who works with code. Oftenly, Git is confused with GitHub, but let's look at what GitHub is. Now, the major difference between Git and GitHub is that Git is a tool and a software, while GitHub is a service. And by service to mean it offers a platform for you to host the code changes that you've made, and also ensures collaboration of the code repositories. We haven't looked at some of the common GitHub terms, but we'll look at that later on as we are learning. Some of the other popular hosting platforms for code include Bitbucket and GitLab, but so far GitHub is the largest host of source code in the world. So after Git has helped you to track the changes that you've made, you host them via GitHub as a service. So you can be able to work simultaneously with other developers, you keep track of the changes, you manage your project simultaneously, and also it provides a platform for you to keep track of the contributions that you've made. You can imagine a scenario where you're working on a project with other developers. One developer is in the United States of America, another is in Nigeria, you're working in Kenya or in Uganda, yet the project is the same. You could be working on the homepage, someone in the US is working on the contact us page, the other one in Nigeria is working on something different, yet you need to complete this work. That is why Git comes in as an essential tool. In as far as Git helps you to see the full history of a project, you can also revert back to the previous version. Suppose you've integrated a feature, let's say a website, and the users used to prefer the previous layout of the website, or there's a certain integration you've made yet for some reason it's not working well. You can use Git to revert to the earlier version, and it helps you to keep track of those changes. So as a developer, it's very essential for you to learn how to use Git, not only to help you to see the file history, but you can always revert back and collaborate with others. And suppose you're stuck, someone else can come in, they help you collaborate, or you share your code base with them via GitHub or any other hosting platform, and they're able to access your repository and help you out. While Git and GitHub are very essential for us to learn while we are doing version control, there are some of the major differences between the two. First of all, Git is a software and a tool, while GitHub is a service. Git is a command line tool, while GitHub offers a graphical user interface where you're able to work with. Git is installed directly or locally on your computer, while GitHub is hosted on the web. Git is maintained by Linux as a corporation, while GitHub is maintained by Microsoft. And for Git, their focus is on version control and code sharing, while GitHub focuses more on a centralized hosting platform. Thing to note is that Git is a version control system to manage source code history, while GitHub is a hosting service for Git repositories. We'll look at what repositories are later as we keep on learning. And with Git, there is no user management feature. You just work with it as a tool locally from your computer. If you're working with GitHub, you need to have actually an account for you to be able to work with GitHub. It comes with a built-in user management feature. Git is open source, just like we said, and freely available, but GitHub includes a free tier. Then there's also a paid package for GitHub. Then with Git, you have minimal external tool configuration, so you wouldn't find a lot of plugins or other packages within Git for you to work with. But GitHub has an active marketplace with integration of other tools. You can check out the GitHub marketplace to learn some of the other tools. Among the major competitors for Git are CVS, Azure DevOps Server, we have Subversion, Mercurial. Don't worry so much about this. It's just good for you to know some of the alternatives for Git. Then with GitHub, they mostly compete with GitLab, Bitbucket, AWS Code Commit, and some other tools that I haven't included in this learning. That is it for today. We've looked at the differences between Git and GitHub, appreciating that Git is a software while GitHub is a service. We'll learn much more about this in the subsequent videos.